Well, from mayor to the city council, there's going to be a whole lot of new faces leading Chicago across the street at City Hall.
Yeah, after a divisive election, the work begins to make those campaign promises a reality. But before we get to all of that, joining us now, political science professor Stephen Caliendo from North Central College. Thanks for being with us this morning.
You know what one of my favorite parts is? When they're surprised to see the confetti.
Right.
Hey, it's a confetti, right? It's a celebration. Yeah,
definitely
that's right.
A celebration. Let's start with what we just heard from both candidates, both of them being very clear about, we know this was divisive.
That's right.
Brandon Johnson saying, hey, I'm here for those who did not vote for me. Paul Vallas quieting the crowd for those trying to boo Brandon Johnson.
That's right.
What are your thoughts on Brandon Johnson moving forward now and trying to garner that support from people who didn't vote for him?
Remember when we sat here 4 weeks ago and we talked about when we found out when it went from 9 to 2, there are real differences between these two candidates. And so there was a concern there that there would be some divisiveness, not only because of the campaign, but just because of what these candidates represented. Both candidates, I think, did a really nice job last night. You know, Brandon Johnson, talked about those who didn't vote for me, and I think we're all assuming he meant those folks who voted for Paul Vallas. It's also people who didn't vote at all. We didn't have a particularly high turnout, and especially among young people. And, when we talked last time, I said, look, young people have got to come out if Brandon Johnson has a chance to win. They really didn't. Less than 4% of the youngest age group came out to vote. Young people, what's going on?
Still asleep.
Yeah, I don't know who I'm talking to, right? Time to wake up. But they didn't show up. But who did show up were progressives. And I think the question is, when you put somebody who's unabashedly progressive on the ballot, does that mean that people who sometimes sit out elections actually show up? That might be what we saw last night.
And that voter turnout right around 35%. Not great.
Not great.
Look at that. But still a victory, an impressive victory, if not stunning, for Brandon Johnson, who announced his candidacy in October. You emerged to this runoff out of a crowded field of 9 candidates, and you defeat Paul Vallas, who had some big names standing up behind him, some well-known Democrats. How do you explain that?
Yeah, some well-known Democrats and some well-known progressives. Again, we think about people like Pat Quinn, definitely a well-known Democrat, but not on the left of the. But now you start to think about Bobby Rush, though, right, and Jamal Green, and these folks that have supported Paul Vallas and made it very clear that it wasn't only an anti-Brandon Johnson vote, that it was a support. It was really a pro-Paul Vallas support. So that coalition, they're going to have some meetings in the next couple of weeks and see what they can do to move forward.
All right, so now Brandon Johnson, as mayor-elect, will, of course, be leading city council at some point. But we have a very different city council, and we just saw lots of votes happening just last week, and they really want to be independent of this mayor, not this mayor, but in general, a mayor. How is it going to be harder for him to get things done? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, and it's because this is also a mayor-elect who doesn't have a history of working with these particular folks.
Stephen, I'm sorry to stop you. We have the severe weather alert. Laura has some new information for us. We want to get to that right now.